Hey, what's going on, guys? Give me 1 second. Let me disconnect these headphones. I'm sorry, guys. I am sick right now. Like, I'm getting sick. It's really cold out here. But I promised you guys I would come over here and I would talk about what happened tonight. So a lot of y'all gonna see this on the rebroadcast. I shared it. So hopefully y'all join in here, whatever the case may be. So I want to talk about tonight and what's predicted for New Hampshire. I think Trump's going to win it. He's won a couple of them right now. And I'm going to say this, as you guys have known, that the 40 plus times that oh crap, I dropped my coffee. The 40 plus times that I've been up here and I've talked about that during the presidency of Joe Biden. I disagreed with it. I think a lot of it benefited the culture and everything else, and I've kept consistent with that for months now. I was up here on election day 4 years ago. With that being said, I know my state, Connecticut, we're very liberal out there. I don't think you'll get a lot of Trump votes out there, especially in my area of Fairfield County. But I will say this much. As far as Trump, he made one comment tonight that I thought was very prominent of him, and it was this. He said to Joe Biden, literally said this about Joe Biden. He said, Joe Biden is a liability. I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, but that's exactly what he said. Joe Biden is a liability. So it would in consistency with what I was saying, and more of what I've been saying, there was a more consistency, maybe what per se he might say. I've had a little pickle with that, weird enough as it may be. As you guys know, give me 1 second, guys, because I got to make this quick because I got to get home. It's real cold out here, but I wanted to make sure I kept my promise because I didn't want to jip nobody. You know what I mean? You guys donate and everything like that, so I appreciate it. You guys can't see it, it's right there on the screen. Make sure y'all hit that up and bless that. It's really cold out here. But tonight he said that Joe Biden was a liability to the country, and I agree at this point. I really do. I don't think anything that was set in place for African Americans really was fulfilled except for the women. I got to say that, even though they were stern advocates of voting this man in, who was an ex-Dixiecrat. You know what I mean? Look up the definition of that. I really don't have time, but basically it was a reverse of what you think the parties are today. You know, the Democrats at one time in this country were very racist, and they had the Southern Belt or the Bible Belt states that you talk about. Those are ex-Dixiecrat states. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of other things that he said, even the clue about Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley, she's a great person. Do I want to run the country? Fuck no. Excuse my French. You guys know I'm raw. If this is your first time here, whatever. I'm raw with my stuff or whatever. I'm raw the same way down at the courthouse when I'm down there. I've covered Jonathan Major's case. I was down there for Trump's case a week and a half ago. So, you know, I move around, guys. Make sure you go down and check out the other videos that are here. I've got probably like, I don't know, anywhere, it's probably like 7 to 8 videos of Jonathan Majors or whatever. So go check those out. I'll share some more in the community section or whatever while I was down at the trial. Um, I hope Trump wins this. I'm going to tell you why I hope he wins it. There is something that I'm starting to feel, and a lot of people are starting to feel it too, but some people are not as vocal as I am about it. And it's an obnoxious attitude and a lot of the financial burden that we've had to take upon ourselves due to this little pinnacle we got in because of being a sanctuary city here in New York City and also partially in Connecticut because we're getting some of the traffic now too. And this type of immigrant is not the same type of immigrant that you had 30 years ago. The immigrant that you probably had 30, 20 years ago, they really had that notion that they wanted to be in this country for whatever the case may be. And I also want to add that many of those immigrants that you're seeing, or migrants, whatever you want to call it, they're not just coming from the border. They're coming from Asia, which, if you don't know it or not, Asians were some of the biggest illegal immigrants in the country, not Latinos. So let me make sick of that. And even in the Latin community, especially with Latinx, you'll find that there's a disapproval too. So, you know, I'm in a little for knuckle because I want to see some of these folks to do that. But I tell you a couple of cases of why you're getting anybody in here. I understand this. My family comes from military. I talk about the military all the time. My uncles, my aunts, my great aunts, they're all military people, different multiple branches, right? And you go through a process at INS, which is Immigration Naturalization Services. And usually that process is they do an interview with you. And that interview entails that they talk about, you know, where you're from, with your, with your education level, or you're a teacher in your country, or considered one, or you are just a skilled laborer by hand, whatever the case may be. They sit down, they have this interview with you, they find out if you have a criminal history and everything like that. Well, just to give you an example of how hard this is, this in New York City alone, we've received 90,000 migrants. It has gotten so bad that now they're shutting down the hotels, and they're now making it so it's only 60 days, where you have people, literally inviting the cousin, grandma, whoever. That's really how it went. We got free hotels in a luxury hotel, you know what I mean? And so, with that being said, what happened was it started becoming overburdened. And if you guys remember, and I shared it in the community section, I'll share it again if you didn't catch it. I was in front of the Row Hotel. I know the history of this hotel because I've lived in the tri-state all my life. And this was a swanky hotel at one time. It's got over, I think, 1,142 rooms or something like that. It's a beautiful place. And so they converted this basically to a homeless shelter. But prior to that, they had closed down having the homeless coming out of the pandemic in the hotels, which made no sense to me. I said you should have kept them there, especially in the hotels that are closed down. You utilize the building. And they can still do that now. But instead, they're utilizing them for that one. And then there's another one. I forgot what that is, but that's actually the take-in center. That's not too far from here. And these three hotels, and I've been to two of them. I went to the other one when they had the protest up there, if y'all remember that one. And so I've been covering this for 2 years. And I remember when I said in front of the Monroe Hotel, just to go back to the premise, I said the money's going to run out. And you'll hear me in the video say the money's going to run out. At that point, they were using surplus. And if you don't know what surplus is, that's just, if you get allocated whatever, say, the money from the state or whatever, from the governor, in this case, it'd be Governor Hochul, to whatever municipality you live in or whatever the case may be. Whatever you got left over that you didn't use expenditure for, whatever case or whatever was allotted to, or you choose to spend it in the next fiscal, well, that money becomes surplus and it sits. It's got to be accounted for, but it sits and it rolls over to the next budget. And combined with that budget, you might, have a plan. Well, they started using surplus money to fund these hotel rooms. And at the time when I was covering kind of from a Pix 11 perspective, and I was over there and I was covering it from a perspective of, I heard that the people were trashing the rooms, leaving food everywhere, wasting food, things like that. This stuff costs hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not per day, per week. I don't know the estimates, but it's a lot of money. I think that we need to start zooming in when we do that, and we think about how we're skipping the INS process properly to cover over 90,000 individuals simultaneously and quickly. And then within that, we got people getting stabbed up. There was a guy killed at one of these places, don't you know? Oh, yeah. And then the day before yesterday, they had 18 people there fighting, and the security guards got stabbed in his neck. I'm going to say something to you because this is half of my culture, but not this part, but it's half of my culture and not these particular immigrants that you have coming from South America coming here now. These are not Dominicans and Hondurans and Panamanians or who you might be used to normally here in New York, you grew up with, went to school with. These are people from very different Latin countries. They have very different cultures. They have very different means. They have very different tames to themselves. And so, in a lot of these countries, you have to realize the number one premise of why they're running from those countries is because of gang activity. There's a lot of gang activity, and it's not just blatant to the cartels or anything like that. It's more widespread than that. There's multiple gangs. And what I think a lot of people don't realize is a lot of these gangs, leaders, members, or whatever the case may be, are coming here. And until you do a thorough INS process with them, you're not going to know that. And then even then, you might not know. And so I think it's an argument that a lot of people are not bringing up. I think it's a premise that a lot of people are not bringing up, rather than you need to start bringing it up and come into reality. I'm not a liberal nor am I conservative. I live in a whole liberal state, though, which is Connecticut. Most of y'all know Joe Lieberman, everybody else we got there. But one thing I do know is I know what pushes buttons. And one thing that's pushing buttons right now is a lot of people are feeling uncomfortable in their locals and neighborhoods or whatever. I mean, like out of some of the local neighborhoods that we have, for example, we have the traffic coming from New York because they can't find a place in New York, so now they're coming to Connecticut to try to find a place to stay at, and it's just not working because it's not meshing right. So not only do they have this wild style that they have from the island or whatever country they come from, but now they got a wild style of New York too. Because some of them have been here, believe it or not, for like 2, 3 years. Oh yeah. So until you can pinpoint that, this is one of my projections of what I see. I see a Latin groups and Latin gangs expanding. I see Latin gangs beefing with Latin gangs that were already here in New York City. I think you're going to see an explosion of that. It may take 2 or 3 years, but I think you're going to see an explosion of it. It's going to happen quickly, and you can't be able to control it. So I'm just saying, for everybody that's out there, they're looking at these, oh, they're so peaceful. They're so. Just remember, there's a whole bunch of these motherfuckers that are mixed in that were running because one of those gang members. Let me tell you something. I saw this picture in New Mexico. And it'll always sit in my mind for the rest of my life. I saw it on social media years ago, probably like 2019, 2020. And there was a guy, and they had dropped him off. So they didn't kill him right there. They had dropped him off. I want to hear the shit about that. They dropped him off in Town Square. And this guy had no less than, I would say, 150 knives poked into him. This was in Mexico. He had at least 150 knives poked into him. Anybody else seen that? Because I know I saw it. They had another picture up where they had hung some people and had them literally hanging off of probably a train's bridge link up in the air suspended. It was I was surprised, and I think that's what they were hoping. They were hoping that the body decapitated because of the height, you know. That's old Wild West guillotine, fucking medieval shit right there, you know. What's Vlad 10% when you need him? He's got some competition, you know what I'm saying? It's fucking Dracula. Oh man, I love this country. I really do. It's my home. Where the fuck else am I gonna go? You know what I mean? And I think some people just don't take it because obviously there's a lot of people like me that's just like my personality that are notarized, even recognized by Donald Trump himself and other people. And like I said, this is not an endorsement of Trump. I just know what Trump's initiative is, and I have to back that up because he said this shit before this motherfucker got elected. Can I get one for that? He said this is the shit that was going to happen. If anything, I'm going to hold him down because he's from Queens, he's from the tri-state. But God damn it, did he not say this shit was going to happen? And here we are. And a lot of Black Americans will say, well, what does that have anything to do with us? Some of these people do not like you. I speak Spanish. I speak Spanish on this channel. I conversate with Latino. If you frequent my channel, you know this. I'm half Cuban and half Black American. I make no mistakes about that. But el grito aquí se, tú sabes, claro, esa no la gente ahí. Estas las personales aquí se, tú sabes, diferente, el relator es diferente, tú sabes, Venezuela, Ecuador, Perú. Tú sabes, la gente es diferente en la relator blanco, no negrito, no negro, no grita, tú sabes, no. So it's different. And the attitudes are different. Some of these people that are coming from these countries specific, they've never seen a brown face in their fucking life. And they have preordained things going on. Now, I don't know if this is Joe Biden's plan. I don't know what the fuck he was thinking. But this shit's not going to work. And with automation coming strictly behind, now you got two fronts that you're going to be fighting against. Automation and also the new labor force in the blue sector. And a lot of people, they don't care about this. They say they aren't thinking about this. You have to think about it. If you don't think about it, you're a fool. Because if you were in their country of origin, they'd be thinking about it. They would. They would, trust me. You can't go to Argentina. You can't go to Peru or whatever. Say, I'm a fucking American, and you're going to listen to what the hell I got to say. Go over there and say that. That'll be the last time you do it. Go into Mexico or go to that town, something starts with a G there. Go to that town right there and see if you'll end up like that guy that had 159 stuck in him. Huh? Go over there voicing your fucking opinion. Because of our Declaration of Independence and many other things or whatever, which a lot of people, in my opinion, have exaggerated drastically. I'm telling you, as half Latino, and I understand Spanish and I listen to Spanish. I have conversations in Spanish on this channel, full conversations all the time. I'm telling you, some of these people don't like you. They're plotting on you. They don't like. Entonces, sabe, la gente blanco, el blanco americano, no le gusta, no. They don't. And there's a total difference between Latinx that has already been here because they are on the same side and saying the same things. Literally, especially the conservative Latinos, which is a bulk. I can verify that. So I'm just saying to you, I'm not telling you to run to the poll and vote for Donald Trump or whatever. I'm not endorsing anybody. Shout out to Lynn Patton though, because she liked one of my posts. And Lynn, I'm gonna hit you up too again, because everybody says shit about Lynn Patton. She liked two of my posts on Instagram when I predicted some other shit too. So I worked in the music business for 17 years at Bad Boy Entertainment. So when I got into the game, which was like early 2000s, but when I got into the game, we didn't have Facebook and Twitter and all this shit or whatever. So we had to learn everything, you know what I mean, by momentum, vibe, trajectories, things like that. And so I stuck to that notion in my mind. And I remember at that time when I came up here, I said some exact words, and I said to Lynn Patton, at that time I was on Instagram. And I didn't have as many followers, damn sure, as I have here, the millions and millions of views that I have now. But I said this, and this was 4 years ago. It had to be 4 years ago now because I've been coming up here for about 4 to 5. I haven't been up here in a while because it got winter time, but summertime, y'all know how I move. I knew the guy here that was the director of when Trump was, right when Trump was getting out, the guy, he was director of NSA, black gentleman. Shout out to him. I met him right down the block here at the local freaking what the hell is this? The Dunkin' Donuts, actually around the corner here. But let me tell you something, man. I don't endorse anybody. I don't prey on anybody. I don't knock anybody. But you got to realize that not only do you have gang members, drug addicts, drug dealers, you can just go on 42nd Street and see that shit. You know what I'm saying? You don't know these people. And the fact that the INS process is being skipped is even more of a threat to you. Just go look at Chicago right now. Chicago's talking about going to war. I saw the man had the audacity to say, and that's where I think it's going to go. I think it's going to go to the street. That's what I'm really saying here. I think it's going to go to the street. If something's not properly done, you've got to get at least, and realistically, to kind of like slow down the amount of money that's being spent, you're at this point going to have to get rid of at least 40 to 60% of the people. It's got to be a quick INS process. I mean, you just have to double down and do a mass hiring thing or something like that and get everybody in on this quickly and then boom, get out, you know, because it's not going to go any other way than that. And I don't know how long it would take Trump to elect that or whatever the case may be. Another thing is in New York City, you definitely got at this point, you got to change your sanctuary laws. That's the same problem Canada had, same problem that England had, same problem that Jesus Christ, where else was it? It was somewhere else over like Middle East, what's the name right there? But these major countries had the same problem, not only from this, it wasn't Latino immigrants, it was African immigrants mostly and Arab immigrants coming from different places and shit like that or whatever. So I'm not anti-immigration. I'm just saying that you've got to tighten up these laws that have to do specifically, and I mean exclusively, with this sanctuary city thing. It's now a thing that's being broadcast nationally and also internationally as a hustle. And that's how these people are looking at it. If you go and look at the scope right now where Canada is and how much money they spent, and then you go look at the scope of a lot of Europe right now, especially Britain, France, and Germany specifically, you'll find there's a lot of people there that are angry, and they're actually, I think it's a preempt to show you what's going to possibly happen here. I do believe, honestly and truthfully, that a lot of these states that are around the United States, you're going to run into a thing where you're going to have people going to war, and I just see it. And I'm talking about on the streets, and I don't want to see that happen. I don't even think it should be allowed for American citizens to have to fight with people that just came into the country, and you came in here based on a favor. So I asked Mayor Adams, I asked our governor, Ned Lamont, I reached out to Jersey and asked him as well, do something about your pre-existing laws and try to have them amended. If you and by the looks of it, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to say one thing about Trump. Trump is a real Queens dude. This motherfucker got pinned in cases, and I went to the fucking trial. I filmed the shit. I filmed the press conference at least. You know what I'm saying? So, and shout out to all the boys down there at the goddamn what's the name? Because you know I get along with them. Like I don't have no motherfucking problem with them. Every officer, I have never had one of those bailiffs in that courtroom. I mean, excuse me, that courthouse be nasty, obnoxious, or any fucking thing else. And I had him on camera. The one guy, he let me go in front of him. He's like, "Yo, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead." Because you know we had been there for 2 weeks, and we had people. They just came there the day Jonathan Majors. I hate to segue to that, but they just came there the day Jonathan Majors got convicted. They wasn't there the whole 2 weeks. It was just me, one guy from CNN, another guy from People, another guy from the New York Post, and that girl that you see in the video on the first day that I was there. That was the day I went into the courtroom. But shout out to all them dudes down there, man. One of the guys down there that's a captain is a brother. So shout out to him, older gentleman. I forgot what his name is, but shout out to him, man, because they don't do nothing but show me love down there. Y'all be thinking I'm wilding when I be, no, 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 no. I'm not wilding. I'm pressing a point. Like, fuck that. You know what I'm saying? Fuck all that. I'm sorry. I can't perceive a world where I like that's what I'm. You know what I mean? I'm not going to endorse that like that. That's too many people. You know, so I don't know if you want to call it an invasion like Donald Trump says, but it's definitely a problem. But we're gonna see if we get some solutions to it. Amend some laws first of all. Get the sanctuary city shit going. We got to. It's called self-preservation. That's all. And any country would do it. Any country would do it. Any country. Britain wished they would have done it and not been so diplomatic, aka liberal. Look what they had. You should really take a look at what's going on in Britain. They've got motherfuckers out there by the hundreds of thousands marching in the streets, singing all kinds of stuff or whatever, whatever. I'll go deeper into it another time. Guys, that's my time right there. Only thing I want to say is, and I'm not trying to be funny, I'm not talking about pre-existing immigrants that have been in this country, but I do want to say that I am endorsing Trump on that idea of heavily regulating these sanctuary cities, finding out what's going on, where's the money going to. There's people that shit. What happened to the Build Back Better program or whatever the fuck that shit was? What happened to that? That shit just went up in smoke. They stopped talking about that shit. Nancy Pelosi's making money off of stocks. Her husband's getting caught fucking with his boyfriend. I was just lost. I was like, well, what happened to Build Back Better? I thought we were supposed to get one more check. This motherfucker gave us the shit that Trump had owed us. He literally, that's all he did. He gave us the shit that Trump had passed. And the only reason Trump didn't answer the check because he wasn't there after January, whatever day they have the fucking inauguration. That's the only reason. So I hope y'all know that. Biden didn't give you a fucking dime. It was Trump that gave you that shit. He had signed off. He got partial. I remember to this day. He got partial of it. I forgot how much it was. I think it might have been 400, and then later on the 600 came. In my opinion, they need to do that once more. Not to everybody like they did before, but they need to do it at least once more to satisfy the needs of a lot of people that are in need. You know how much a fucking package of eggs costs nowadays? I swear to God, I go to the grocery store sometime. I'm like, yo, here's a Vaseline. You want it this way or that way? I swear to God. Like, you feel like you're getting fucked. Literally. Like, I walked out. I saw this guy. He did a TikTok. And he said 4 years ago, before the pandemic, and he had like 5 bags of groceries for $165. He said 4 years later, after the pandemic, he had 2 bags of groceries, and it was $195. So I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Having these folks here right now at the moment doesn't help coming out of a pandemic, and anybody would know that. And I'm sorry what happened down in their countries. I'm sorry if they're running from gangs. I'm sorry at all. I really am. But some of those gang members are mixed in with those folks. I don't give a fuck what nobody says. I know when I see a gang member. I know when I see a gang member, homie. Like, come on. It's New York. You know what I'm saying? Come on. So I like, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying to you. You know what I mean? Trump, keep your gangster up. Don't fall. Stay healthy. And get in there and win this motherfucker. That's all I'm saying, because this shit is fucked up out here, man. And please pass out a check or whatever, because Joe Biden just wouldn't do shit, motherfucker. Yeah, Build Back Better program, me and Nancy Pelosi, we're gonna put it together. Oh shit, Nancy just cashed that on the stocks. God damn it. Again. Oh shit, Nancy's husband just got caught up with his boyfriend. Oh shit. He hit him with a golf club, motherfucker. So that's just my little comedy relief on this. Also seriousness. And that's all I got to say, guys. Other than that, guys, make sure y'all bless the Cash App. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna get home, get in the house, get warm. It is freezing out here. And I will talk to y'all later, man. Make sure y'all support this channel. $STRINGERBELL80. Live and direct here from Trump Tower in New York City. I'll be back up here because now that the election year is running, you know what I'm saying? So we're gonna be up here a lot more talking this talk or whatever, and what we want to see. You know, I'm not even on, you know, I titled this one for the people, but I do mean that there's a lot of specific needs that I do think the black community needs, especially a form of gentrification that's going on. And that gentrification is spread. It's not just in black neighborhoods, it's happening in white neighborhoods too. They were getting migrants out of Nantucket and shit. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not against the migrants. I'm just saying be aware of what's mixed in between those migrants, and they're not being scanned by INS completely thoroughly. We got 90,000 people here. How long do you think it would take to process 90,000 people through INS individually? I'll talk to you guys later. Make sure y'all hit up the Cash App, bless the channel.